right, we are live. So apparently there has been some issues with YouTube today. I know I was having a lot of trouble. I guess East Coast had some major congestion on their end. So here we are. We are trying to do it through Twitter, and then ideally we'll just be able to save it to YouTube. So if you guys have a chance to check it out here on Twitter, we'll do our Bubblehead channel live stream tonight here. So let's see how that comes through. Just give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me just make sure this is coming through.
Check, check.
Check, check. Let's see if this it's connecting here. Just want to make sure it's coming through. Okay, look, it looks like we got wow, 33 people on already. So real quick, let's do what we normally do on YouTube, even though YouTube's been kind of down. So let's kind of run through some charts here real quick, and then we'll get Thancin on and talk about a couple of his really awesome stuff he's been working on with his the channels that he's been working on, which we like to call the Than Chan. And he's also been working on he developed a new indicator, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So we like to call it the Thandicator. So let's take a look here, real quick run through the market. The monthly chart, bearish engulfing on the SPX. Obviously not looking good coming into June, so we have a new month coming this month. Weekly, we took the inside week down. We're now at the cloud below the 50-week moving average. Daily, right? Gap down below the 200 moving average right there. So interestingly enough, the inside week corresponded with a push right here below this level, and something that it could have been caught even before the gap too. So just wanted to kind of point that out there. Here's the what we like to trade intraday. Positive Trends newsletter subscribers get access to this in the private Twitter feed. Any of my trades that I take off the SPX intraday. Here you can see downward trend line, breaks the upside, upward trend line breaks the downside. At this point, I am going to pass the mic over to Thancin Stevens. He's a great trader and has been very active on Twitter, and he's been trading for over a year and has learned at an exponential rate. And he's found a lot of success with out-of-the-money options and uses several techniques that work well for him. And he also runs a private Discord and will be opening up soon to more followers. So be sure to follow him on Twitter. The link will be ultimately in the description of the video, which will be uploaded to YouTube for updates. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Thancin Stevens.
All right, am I good?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. Hey, John, how you doing?
Good.
Hello, people of Twitter who would be on YouTube if problems. All right, so my rundown of the market. We're coming down. We're the way I run fibs is I take the daily close up here, the daily close down here, high and low. And the 618 is right here at this gap down here. So yeah, I can see a couple days of down coming into this week. But after that, we're pushing this megaphone here, and we had it all the way down to here, but then we started this middle path, and it's been holding pretty decently. But obviously, futures are coming down as well to the 618, it's the same thing except it runs 24 hours. So, well, the Thandicator, right? So, I was messing around with MA5 one day, and I happened across just somebody was telling me, hey, you got to add a simple moving average 5 to your charts to really see where the direction of the market is going. If it's pointed down, you should buy puts. If it's pointed up, you should buy calls. It's as simple as that on some people's system. So I threw a moving average 5 on there, and because he told me to. But I don't like stuff on my charts. I used to have a lot of clutter on my charts, and it messes with how I see things. So I took it and I moved it down to an existing pane below, and lo and behold, it works. I back tested it a little bit, and whenever this cross happens, you can see right here, as this cross happens, it starts to chop around, and at some point it just drops out of nowhere. Okay, so we go back to October. That's where I first started back testing this thing, and and on Caterpillar, it dropped right here, came back and back tested the top of the MA, and then the MA is the black line, obviously, and the blue line is the RSI. So came up, back tested, boom, big drop. A few days after the drop, or down here right before November, the blue line crosses over, and boom, comes right back up here. We lay fibs on it.
Oh, I'm losing you, Thanson. Hold on a second. I'm losing audio. Give me 1 second here.
Will now be placed into the conference.
Are you there? Are you there?
You got me back, John?
Yep, you're back. You're back. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Cool. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yep.
So, I don't know what.
Drawing the fibs.
Okay, so, as I draw the fibs, the top close, bottom close, perfect 50% retrace. Came up here to the 618, perfect, collapse. And, the indicator, it did not, that's part of the problem here is the indicator is not, it's not perfect. No indicator is. And, it comes up here, spikes, but it drops down ultimately, even though there was no bearish cross. You got to get down into the lower time frames. And zooming has a big effect on this. You can see as I zoom in, down here, the blue and black line, they start to change. And that's one of the things that I was working on. I was trying to work on a Pine Editor, my own indicator, that you could just copy and paste and use yourself and not have to worry about all this hoopla. But there's just some problems with it, and I'm not an editor, I'm not a coder, so I'm trying my best. But you zoom in and you can see there was in fact a bearish cross on the indicator here. So we come up to present day, and you got your bearish cross, fall down, and now we're starting to see some bullish crossing with a wedge and all that good noise. The wedges are a pattern that aren't perfect, falling or rising, and this is calling it before it pops, and I think that's what gets a lot of traders, including myself, which is why I'm also really happy with my indicators, that it's pointing to a change. Not only is it oversold on the RSI, but the cross of the RSI over the MA5 is indicating that we should see a bounce sometime soon. Not only in Caterpillar, but in SPY and in QQQ, with the divergence on this trend line here, with the red spots tagging the trend line, and it crosses below. Now it can cross further and fill. Well, there is this gap down here, so we could see a big down day on this back in the middle of April, whenever it was obviously we were right here. April 16th is when I was just shouting from the skies, don't go super long, it needs to bounce, it needs to consolidate. Here we are, we're consolidating. Everybody's like, December lows are coming, and I just don't see it. I mean, not without some kind of chop would have to happen. Let me get rid of the smaller stuff. Okay. Some kind of chop would have to happen in this area here before we saw those lows, because the RSI from past and into the future, So, okay, QQQ, Dow Jones, industrial average. I laid the fibs. Am I having an echo? You still hear me, John?
I was on the sorry, just making
Oh,
sure.
no, it's cool. That's all right.
Yep.
Am I good?
No, you're good. Yeah, it looks good. I think we're
Okay.
doing good.
Okay. So the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's getting down there. It's looking like a cross, but not quite. You can't call it like this. You need some sort of pattern reversal in order to say, okay, it's good. Um, so even though we're at the 618, it can go lower. It can fill this gap completely. I would not be surprised if it did that tomorrow and the next day or whatever. Already ran through that. Already ran through Caterpillar. Intel was a big name I was getting bullish on this week. I played calls several times in the dips just because of this indicator. So you get down here, the bullish cross happened the week before last. And so every dip, I bought calls. Wait, right here. Yeah, the 28th. I bought some $45 call or something like that for $8. It was out of the money, and by this day here, it was at $28. So you're talking about an almost 300% flip on a weekly call play because this indicator is getting bullish. You go to the 3-day, which is just 3 days of average, and it's just one of those things that I've been messing with, and right here you can see the bullish cross, and it's it should go up if things are the same, if they repeat themselves on this indicator. So let's go to JP Morgan. That was one I was looking at. Popped it, coming back down and testing the diagonal neckline right on top of the channel.
So this is a great, to talk about the channels that you work with.
Right.
If you could maybe elaborate a little bit for anybody who's like kind of tuning in here, just like how you use channels and what you look for, and then combining those maybe with the indicator. And just real quick, so it's when the RSI crosses over the MA or when the MA crosses over the RSI. What's your kind of key signal that you look for?
It's either it's a golden cross bullish, golden and death cross scenario. So you got the death cross up here, at the top of the channel, or at the bottom of the channel, I should say. This was what probably could have charted it as a rising wedge as well. You take this trend line here, and if I can get it to stick. Okay. And boom, you got a rising wedge. Why I call it a channel, because the parallel channel is an easy tool to use. It's right over here, and you can just easily make a channel that quick. It's parallel, and you don't have to mess with trying to make the lines exactly right, copying, cloning, and moving them all over, whatever. So, you got this channel up here. This first green day, you could tell it dropped out of the channel. It's already bearish crossed or death crossed. I think people here on May 6th.
And that was the just to be clear, that was the RSI just death crossed the MA, right? The 5 MA.
It crossed down. Yeah, it crossed down below the MA.
Yep.
The blue line crossed below. The blue line is the RSI. So it crossed down back here on this hanging man candle, or shooting star, I should say. Hanging man, shooting star, spinning top, all in there. You should have been bearish according to this indicator.
Yep.
And some people, IWM, that was another one I should have over here already. Okay. So May 2nd, 3rd, 4th. No, there was no 4th. That was the weekend. The 6th. These were days where people were still bearish, or bullish, I should say. People were thinking, wow, that is a big bullish engulfing candle. This has to be bullish. And it ended up not being that way. Why? So you zoom in with this indicator, and like I said, it's not a perfect system, but you get bearish back here on April 5th. This is before I even had this indicator. It was just getting choppy right around this So that here's another Thanchan that we can go over weekly. This is the holy grail of my channeling. Back in December, I was just a permabull because I didn't know any better. Even though we were going red, 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 I was like, it has to bounce, it has to do it. I can't deal with a bear market in my first year of trading, But sure enough, I came back and charted it on the monthly. Okay, so people oftentimes like to bring their channel right down to here, and they say, oh, it crossed. Let me just, I'll just delete that. I can put it right back. Get a trend line out. So, you go back to here, and you can point out the corrections based on the trend line breaks. Okay, so but from the lowest pivot, it's all about where you pivot from. And that's a quote you can take from me. If you're doing a channel, you're doing a trend line, the pivot matters the most. If you're drawing it from at the very bottom, it's going to be different than if you draw it from not the very bottom, obviously. But this is how I tell if we're in a bear market or we're in a correction. Okay, so 2011 correction breaks the trend line, comes back up. 2016-15 correction broke the trend line, or it broke it, and then it rode it up, boom, back down. 2018, still the same pivot, breaking it down. Now that is something to look at. That's something I have not looked at yet, is the monthly cross again. So here's the 2018 correction. We're going to have another correction in 2019, or is it going to end up being a bear market? The way we tell is we throw the channel up, the Thanchan, as we like to say in the industry.
Yeah, exactly, the Thanchan. Thanchans now, so.
So we throw it up there. Okay. It's a little fidgety, but okay. So until we break this line, this is the bear market pivot line. This is why I leave this on here. I'll never delete these things, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things from my chart, because this tells you if we're going down or not. You see how we tested that middle line of the Thanchan? That is just, we've just been having resistance, and that's no wonder considering we've been dealing with trade war and Trump and whatever else. There's just so much nonsense going on, and having a bear market is possible, but here, if you go by people's indicator of the MA, it's pointing up. Even though we had a bearish engulfing month that engulfed the last 3 whole months, the MA is pointing up. What does that say? It says that people want to buy calls. Not me. Not based on this, but I go to my indicator, I go on the daily. Yeah, I want to buy calls. It's wedged up. It looks like this morning star here. It looks like it could be, or if it gaps up tomorrow, it could be the beginning of the reversal. But chances are we'll gap down. Excuse me. We'll gap down and just keep going down for a little bit until we bounce eventually.
That's awesome. So
okay.
This is great. I mean, we really get to see a lot of stuff here. So that everybody, that's drawing channels is a really effective way of looking at the scope of the market. Because everything moves in waves, right? So it's a real great way to encapsulate those waves. And oftentimes when we see breakouts out of those channels is where we see it start to see a new direction, right? So I think combining that tool combined with the Thandicator, using the that RSI combined with the 5MA, I think is a really effective way to to kind of gauge sentiment in the market. So I think that's really awesome. That's really great, Thanchan, and I really appreciate you sharing that. So I think it's a great tool. So I think a lot of people will benefit from that too. So yeah. So hopefully. Hopefully everybody will be able to, get some great takeaways from this, and hopefully we'll be able to upload this to YouTube later and be able to, to put to put this information out there. So otherwise, we'll have to do another live stream.
Yeah, whatever. I'm game.
That's awesome. Cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of add there? I like how you were talking about the Fibonacci's, how you combine that as well. Do you use that also with your indicators? Is that just kind of separate, just to kind of give some clues?
I think Fibonacci is the first thing I throw on any chart. After I've seen an indicator break, like on Vive. That was one I wanted to pop around, but it's I don't want to like sit here and ramble on for another 15 minutes about my crazy antics and my whatever. But Vive, which I just recently found out is a healthcare industry,
Yeah.
it's been going up since I've started trading. It's insane, over 100% up, almost 200% in fact. Yeah, so I want to call a top here because it's bearishly crossed on the weekly. And, I laid some fibs out on, if we went to, I poked around with it. I didn't do it the normal way, but we'll see. We'll see how Vive goes. Dell crossed bearishly the week before earnings. And look where it ended up, down 10% on earnings. In fact, more if you poked, sold at the bottom. But we closed above the 618, so we'll see how it goes. We might chop a bear flag and go down to 382. Roku called it bearish right here because it was on the 3-day. It was kind of pinched a little bit, but now it's with 3 days. It's double inside, so we'll see. It's an inside weekly, and
futures aren't looking too good right now. So you are pretty much the only one on Twitter who's been calling Roku,
bearish.
Roku. So that's awesome. So that really could, you could get that follow through this week. It's looking like it with the inside week, and if we're gapping down on futures too, it could be could get a little correction.
Could be one of the bloody ones, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'm good, unless you wanted to ramble on. But you take the wheel.
No, that's awesome. Everybody, I just want to appreciate everybody for tuning in, and thank you to Thanson Stevens for collaborating today. I think it was fun. Hopefully not the last time that you jump on one of these, and really
not if I can help
it. That's awesome. So basically, I'm just gonna kind of switch over. Let me see if I can pull up these charts. Looks like we're getting a few chart requests in here, and then Thanson, if you want to jump into on any of those. So if anybody has any questions or chart requests, for Thanson or for me, please feel free to plug those into the chat, the comments section here in the Periscope, and then we'll try to get through those as much as we can, and then if nobody has too many questions, and we'll kind of wrap it up, and we'll go back to our normal stuff tomorrow. So, oh yeah, Pierre, you made it on, man. Sorry about all the Twitter stuff and the YouTube. So, but let's check this out. So let's look at so Thanson, we've got a request on there for Neo and IQ. So I'm just going to take a real quick look at it, and then you can throw your opinion out there too. So we've got, let's see, so we've got so Neo. I actually didn't get a chance to look at this one the other day. It was on the 15 orb list because of earnings. I imagine they were not 15 orb on this one, just to see what that looked like. So we have, when were earnings were, let me auto zoom on this. Did they not do earnings? Sometimes these companies talk about earnings, they don't actually do it. The other day, wow, I totally missed this one. All right, so let's see. So this was here. So this was day one. Earnings, obviously weren't very great. Well, I guess it kind of went up a little. I don't know what it's doing here, but it's basically been drifting down here for quite some time. So not looking strong at all. Looking like their production is going to go down. They're not looking at doing any new models, things like that, discontinuing some things. So looking pretty rough there on Neo altogether. So let's see. Let me go here. On the daily, yeah, so low of $3. I don't know if that's going to hold. It's a little bit over, kind of in the oversold area, but it's certainly lower. It could definitely become a penny stock. So that's kind of a take there. And then real quick, IQ. IQ's looking pretty rough too. Again, one of those kind of Chinese names right now are pretty rough to be in, so kind of breaking on there. I don't know. Thanson, do you have any?
If you got long at that point, so I actually called it tentative long last week, and that was because with the indicator here, it's what I'm calling pinching. You know, as I'm going, I'm trying to make terms, but so you go to the weekly. No, don't go to the weekly. Go to the daily because this one doesn't have a lot of information. So you go to the daily, and if you zoomed out all the way, you know, yeah, it broke above the indicator, zoomed out, and it's just been crashing down, and it's just sitting on top of it. You go way down, and you can see it's coming closer together, closer and closer. We're waiting for a daily break above this, and then you want to look for a 3-day break above this. See, pinching again. It's just coming close together, the MA and the RSI, and it has no signs of life. So we just don't touch this one until the indicator breaks above, in my opinion.
Nice.
And with the channel there, so you know it's a way to say, okay, you can play the levels here, up down, and then it breaks down, so it's bearish. You know, it's just going down to who knows where. And then if it breaks back into the channel, you can call that a fake breakdown. And if it breaks above it, you know, we can go somewhere. And with the fibs, you know, I used a low close and a high close, and that's about as simple as it gets right there. It's down below the 618. I wanted to call it long here, but we wait for the indicator. IQ, that was one I called long around here because it was crossed above it, and now it's coming down here. Now, if the indicator is correct, we should see bounces coming soon, but we've been in this long downtrend of this channel, and ever since the cross back here, you know, so
Yep. Yep.
it is what it is. Don't play things that are trending down for some sort of life, you know, otherwise you're just shooting yourself in the foot if you don't buy time.
Yep. Nice.
That's it for me.
Good stuff. Oh, Kornick Trades, what's going on? Thanks for jumping in. Yeah, it was. We were trying to do it on YouTube tonight, and YouTube kind of was crashing. So thanks to some Google servers being overrun, but appreciate everybody for jumping in here. So good stuff, guys. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're gonna hopefully this will save and we'll upload this to YouTube so everybody can catch the replay of it. Thanson, thank you so much for jumping on with us and showing us not only how you look at channels but kind of a perspective of the markets. Really appreciate describing how you use your Thandicator. Looking at the 14 RSI with the MA5. Really awesome stuff. And so looking forward to having you on again. And hopefully we can actually next time we can actually get it on through YouTube. But at least Twitter is here for us to at least get the information out there. So really good stuff. So anything else?
Thank you, John, for having me on. And, you know, I'd love to do it again. Hopefully everybody got some use out of this. And, you know, if anybody has any questions, I'm at Thanson Stevens on Twitter. You know that. You know, True Bubblehead follows me on there. And I'm happy to answer any questions because this is a team effort. This is not a I'm trying to beat you, you're trying to beat me.
Yeah, we're already competing against institutions and algorithms, so we may as well work together to battle the best we can, or at least figure out what page they're on, so we can ride the wave that they're making. So that type of thing. So good stuff, man. Really appreciate it. So awesome live stream. So we'll try to get this loaded up to YouTube. Everybody appreciate you out there, and we're gonna get logged off here. And so just want to thank you, and remember your risk first, and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And we'll talk to you guys soon.